In this tutorial, we will show you how to edit the front page of your website. Upon logging in and being greeted with your dashboard, we will now use our mouse to select the title Pages and select All Pages. This will now load all the pages available on your website. Next, we will look for the page titled Front. Using our mouse cursor, we'll scroll down and we can see that this is the front page. Hovering over it, we have the options to edit, quick edit, trash, view, or edit with Elementor. Please note that we will select Edit with Elementor as that is the page builder that we are using on the site. I apologize for the lack of internet. It seems that I have dipped a little bit. Please bear with me. As you can see, my internet has dipped and it is taking a little bit longer to load. A few more moments and it will be loaded completely. Okay, so the page is loaded and we will start at the top. Basically, there are three areas that we will be working with when using the page builder. First, we have an entire section. Using our mouse, we can hover over and you will see a blue line appear around the section that we are editing. Hovering over the 6 dots, you can see we have the option to edit this section. If we select Edit, you will see that the bar on the left hand side has changed. And we are currently on the Layout section. Here we are able to stretch the section, change the content width, the column gaps, height, vertical alignment, overflow, and so forth. Moving on to the styling section of the section, you can see we are able to change the background. We're either able to choose a classic background, a gradient, a video, or a slideshow. By selecting classic, we can choose a color for the background, like so, or we can clear it, and we are able to choose an image. By selecting Choose Image, it will open up another window. Here we are able to choose an image from our media library, or we are able to upload a new image from our Windows PC. Next, we will move on to the scrolling effects. We are able to add scrolling effects and mouse effects. Moving from the background, we can also select a background overlay. Here we have the same option. We can either choose an image for the overlay, or we can choose an actual color. As you can see, we also have a slider to change the intensity of the color. I will now set this back to default, and we will move on. We also have a section to edit the border. Here we are able to add a border to the entire section. As you can see, I have added a pink border, but it is only showing at the bottom, as we have a width of 2 set to the bottom and nothing on the rest. We can edit this to any amount we desire, and you will see the changes happening live. We will now remove this and set it back to default. We are also able to add a shape divider to each section, either at the top or the bottom. By selecting the type, we can choose which type we would like, as well as the color, as seen there, and the width, and so forth. I will now set this back to default, and we will move on to the typography. In this section, we are able to change the heading color, text color, link hover color, and the text alignment. We will now close the typography, and we will edit the advanced section. Here we are able to add a margin to the section, as well as padding. Moving onwards, we are able to add motion effects. We are able to edit the responsiveness, attributes, and add custom CSS. Please note that these last few options are for more in-depth development and you will not really require them. Moving on from the section, within the section we have columns. As you can see, this column currently As you can see, this section currently has two columns, one on the left and one on the right. We will then highlight the column on the left, and you will see an option at the top left. Again, a blue line will represent the section that we are busy editing. By selecting Edit Column, again, we will have the sidebar appear on the left-hand side. Underneath the Layout section, we can change the column width, vertical alignment, horizontal alignment, widget spacing, and so forth. Moving on to the style of the column, we are able to add a background. We are able to either choose a color for the background, which we are not able to view because we currently have an image there, or we are able to add an image to that column, as well as edit scrolling effects and mouse effects. Moving on to the background overlay, we are able to add an overlay to this column. On the border section, we are able to add a border, just as before, by selecting the type and choosing the desired width. You will see that the border should appear. As mentioned before, we currently have an image sitting inside this column, so we will not actually see these changes. Next, we will go on to the typography. Here we are able to change the heading color, text color, link color, hover link color, and the text alignment. Moving on to the advanced section, we are able to fiddle with the margin, padding, the Z-index, the CSS ID, and so forth. Please note that most of this will be more for in-depth development and should not be required by you. Once we are done with the column, we will move on to the third basic step, which is the widget. Inside this column, we currently have a widget. As you can see, it is an image. By selecting the Edit Image, the left-hand sidebar will open up once again. As you can see, we currently have an image set in this widget. By selecting Choose Image, we will bring up a new window. Here we are able to select an image from our website, and we are able to insert it. As you can see, the image has now changed. However, I will set it back to its default, and I will continue. Next, we are able to choose the size of the image displayed. If we choose the thumbnail size, the image goes to thumbnail size. We'll put that back to full. Next, we can choose the alignment, as well as add a caption or a link to the image. Moving on to the styling section, we have the options to change the image width, max width, the opacity for the normal and the hover, as well as add CSS filters and border types to the widget. Lastly, in the advanced section, again, we have the options to edit the margin, the padding, and so forth. Please note that the rest is for more in-depth development and will not be required by you. Next, I will show you the widgets on the right-hand column. As you can see, we currently have two widgets in this column. This will be a text editor. By selecting the Edit Text, again we will have the option appear on the left-hand side. In here, you will see all the text that is included in that widget. We are able to change this however we wish, and we can see the changes happen live. We will remove that, and we will continue to the styling section. In this section, we are able to choose the alignment of the text. We will select Center, and we will move on. We are also able to change the text color to any preferred color we desire. We will set that back to black, and we will move on to the typography. By selecting the Edit button, we are able to change the font, as well as the size, by simply dragging the slider. I will set that back to 42 as its default, and we're also able to change the weight, transform, style, decoration, as well as the line height and letter spacing of the text. Moving on, you can see we have the option to choose how many columns to display. We'll leave this as default, as well as choose the column gap, which we will leave as default. Lastly, in the advanced section, again, we have the options to fiddle with the margin and padding. Moving on from the text editor, we will now show you how to edit the button. By selecting the Edit button, the left-hand sidebar will yet again appear. As you can see, we currently have a type that we can change. For this button, we have selected Info, we have chosen the text Shop Now, and we have linked it to our shop page on the website. Again, we are able to choose the alignment of this button to any preferred position, as well as change the size of the button. We are also able to add an icon to the button if required. For example, a clock. As you can see, the clock has been added into it. I will now remove this, and we'll move on. In the styling section, you will see we have all the options to change the typography of the button. By selecting Edit, we can change the family of the font as well as the size, simply by dragging the slider. I will set that back to default, and we can change the weight, transform the button text, as well as the style, decoration, highlight, line height, and so forth. Moving onwards, we are able to edit the text shadow. Here we can fiddle to how we prefer the button to see. Setting this back to default, and we will move forward. Next, we can choose the text color. As you can see, it is currently white, but we can choose any color we desire. Next is the background of the button. Again, we can choose any color we wish, and as you can see, the color will change. We will now set that back to its default, and we'll move on to the border. Here you can see we currently have a border set to solid with a 0 width, as well as the color of the border and the border radius. By increasing this amount, we will actually change the border of the button. Scrolling down, we also have the option to play with the box shadow and to insert padding for the button. Scrolling back up, we have the hover options, which when hovering over, you can see that it has changed. The text has changed to black, and the background has gone to transparent. As you can see on the left hand side, we have set the text color to black for the hover, as well as the background color to a faded pink, as seen there. Moving forward, we are able to edit the advanced section. Again, here we are able to edit the margin, the padding, and so forth. Scrolling down, we will go to the next section. Using our mouse, we will find and select the next section. By selecting Edit Section, again, we will have all the options appear on the left-hand side. Moving on, we can do the actual column. Again, clicking Edit will give us the options on the left-hand side. Next will be the widget. In here we have a divider. Here we can change the style of the divider, the width, and so forth. I will set that back to default, and we'll also have the styling options, including the color, the weight, and the gap. In the advanced section again, we have the margin and padding settings. Moving on, we are now in a title editor. In here you can see we currently have some coding to enforce that the title Who We Are is in bold, as well as the color of the title We. We're also able to add a link, change the size of the text, and add our HTML tag. We're also able to choose our alignment, and so forth. Underneath the styling section, we can change the text color, the typography, the text shadow, and the blend mode. In the advanced section, again we have the margin settings and the padding settings. Moving onwards, you will see it is all straightforward. It is 3 basic steps. We have the section, which contains everything. Then we have the columns, and inside the columns we have the actual widgets. Using these 3 buttons is how we would edit anything on the website. Once we are happy with all the changes, we will simply select Update and save our changes.